light field photography provides, even in its current form, a new kind of picture storytelling where you can take a shot and then really try to entice the viewer to explore it, right? Not just to stare at it, but to really click and discover what they want to see. What I discovered with the first prototype after I built it, and I could see it in the eyes of my friends when they could discover their expression or one of our other buddies' expression in their face when they're kind of goofing off and hamming up, and they would laugh out loud and say, wow, how did you do that? That kind of emotional response, that visceral response is what really I was passionate about. My starting point was really sort of in two different areas, in the sciences and the arts at the same time. This was in graduate school. So on the science side, I was really studying computer graphics in a sort of very theoretical way. The light field and all the theory that went behind it. This is from the mid-1990s. And on the personal side, on the artistic side, I love photography. I used to paint a lot, play music, and that turned into a love of a passion for picture taking. If there's one constant from the 1830s, was the beginning of plate cameras through film into color and then digital and all these micro innovations we've had in digital, it's all the same data. It's 2D photographs. And this really transforms it into an entirely new kind of data that allows fresh innovation in this area for the very first time. The light field is all of the information about the light that flows into the camera. And, I think we all know it flows along rays, right? So think of all those light rays refracting through a lens and then coming inside the camera. And usually they burn into the sensor. You can picture those rays burning in and making a flat 2D photograph. That's the conventional kind of camera. With the light field camera, there's an entirely new kind of sensor, a light field sensor, that records all of the individual rays and where they're going. You can sort of picture that directional information that's lost in regular photos. And that data, that new data is what allows us to focus after the fact or do a bunch of new capabilities that we'll have going into the future. Because the technology is so new, there's a lot of engineering to bring that into products. But what's so exciting about light field technology is that the technology has a lot of breadth and a lot of depth. It's got long legs that will run us for a lot of innovation over many years. And in video, what it's going to mean is that you'll be able to do cinema quality video, where you can have depth of field and focus that really tells part of the story. Every camera or every imaging system with a lens in front of a sensor can use light field technology to do more features or have a performance that's never been seen before. So things like small images like smartphones, higher end cameras like DSLRs of that class. We talked a bit about video, medical imaging. You can do a light field microscope. In fact, we wrote some papers about this at Stanford back in 2007. Take one shot and compute a full 3D volume of the specimen from that one light field picture. It's incredibly difficult to make something simple. The concept of it, let's make a camera that doesn't have so many modes, buttons, dials, and settings, which for folks like you and for me, we know how to use all those modes, buttons, dials, and settings, so it's okay. But for many people, it sort of is a block from being able to get through to the art or the creative energy that they're trying to express. So let's simplify it. We said, let's use light field technology not to make it, more complicated for technology's sake, but to make it simpler so that people could have an artistic tool. So it's only got, 2 buttons, a shutter button, a power button, everything else simplified into the touch screen. And yet it's got a beautiful lens on it, right? An 8x zoom lens that remarkably has an f2 aperture, even at the long end, which many of the technically minded folks will know what that means, but for the layperson, it just means it brings a tremendous amount of light to the sensor, even when you're zoomed very far out, which is not really in the market in any other camera product today. The reason I'm here is that today it's available for the first time in stores and in Australia and internationally for us. And that's a very, very exciting thing for me to see. I think the concept of really a fundamentally new kind of camera, a revolutionary new type of photography, starting here but with a lot of things to come in the future, is something that's captured all of our imaginations as human beings, because we all love pictures. As human beings, we're very visual animals, right? And so we love to take pictures and we love to show other people the things that we care about.